The stage lights dim and a hush ripples through the theater as Donny Osmond steps into a single spotlight. He pauses, eyes scanning a sea of expectant faces, and for the first time in public he raises his voice beyond polished song and practiced laugh. At 66, he begins, "I'm finally ready to tell you why you never see my wife." A collective intake of breath sweeps the audience. Osmond, the boy, next door turned global star, whose private life has long been a guarded garden, leans forward. "I've sung love songs for 50 years, he continues, but I've never revealed the woman who taught me what love truly means. A few realize that Debbie Osmond, his high school sweetheart turned lifelong partner, has remained hidden behind the scenes not from indifference but out of necessity." Donny's voice softens. Debbie suffers from a rare form of agoraphobia. He confesses as a hush descends. Crowds trigger her anxiety so severely that even stepping onto a patio outside our home can send her heart racing uncontrollably. The camera cuts to a wide shot of Donny's empathetic profile, silver-streaked hair gently backlit. "I spent years joking that she was just the shyest celebrity spouse ever," he says, "but the truth is far more complex and heartbreaking." He shifts, glancing toward a side curtain. "Imagine being the person who makes you feel at home, yet you can't join me after the curtain call." On the screen behind him, a series of softly lit home videos plays, Debbie greeting Donny at his dressing room door, her hand resting on his shoulder, then pulling away as the chatter of stagehands and press breaks in. Each clip freezes on Debbie's tentative smile, her eyes full of pride and longing. "That's the life she leads nightly," Donny says, emotion thick in his voice. "I head into the lights while she waits outside, a silent sentinel I wish I could protect from the very fame that has given us everything." Donny recalls his proposal in 1978, standing under twinkling patio lights at his parents' home in Ogden, Utah. "I asked Debbie to marry me." He shares, not knowing the journey ahead would mean carrying her heart both onstage and behind closed doors. The audience leans in as Donny describes how Debbie, on bended knee, agreed, her promise laced with equal parts joy and unspoken fear. "I vowed to love her always," he murmurs, "and in doing so, I promised to shield her from a world she fears more than any scandal or tabloid story." He continues, "Debbie battled panic attacks during my Motown 25 performance. I watched her backstage shaking, tears in her eyes as she heard the roar of the crowd." Donny's thumb glides across his heart. "We've always stayed together, even when adrenaline and anxiety tangled in the same breath." He places a hand over his wedding band. "We built our first home in Utah as a sanctuary, a safe haven where Debbie could shed her fears and find a place to breathe. But that sanctuary becomes a prison the moment she steps outside." As Donny recounts late-night therapy sessions they shared, the projection behind him shifts to a montage of a quiet living room, 2 chairs under a single lamp, Debbie's outline visible through shadows. "We met a psychologist who showed us coping techniques," he says. "Together we practiced grounding exercises by counting ceiling tiles, tracing my initials on her palm, anything to bring her back from the edge of panic." He pauses as the tape shows Debbie's trembling hand clutching his finger. "Those were her bravest footsteps," Donny whispers, coaxed only by the promise of her best friend and husband waiting with open arms. Despite improvements, Debbie's condition remains challenging. Donny confesses that he's declined dozens of red carpet invitations because Debbie simply can't stay at a Hilton in Beverly Hills, no matter how short the event. "I turned down that charity gala in New York," he admits, "because I couldn't bear to make her wait by the lobby for 4 hours. He nods toward a black and white photo of them a tux, clad Donny posing with grinning presenters, Debbie barely visible peeking around the curtain. That photo captures the choice we make daily, the life of a performing artist and the life of a wife hiding in plain sight. Tonight, Donny Osmond invites the world to honor the hidden half of his story. "Debbie doesn't hate the spotlight," he says. "She simply can't turn it off." He places both hands over his heart. "She is my silent strength and my quiet muse, the one who taught me to find harmony in our vulnerabilities." The audience rises as the video montage dissolves into a single image, Debbie's hand resting on Donny's chest, her engagement ring sparkling under the stage light. "This is why you never see my wife," he concludes, "because she is the reason I sing, and the reason I'll always come home." We first confronted Debbie's agoraphobia head-on in 1985, shortly after our wedding. I just wrapped a grueling night of Dancing with the Stars rehearsals in Los Angeles, and Debbie waited in our hotel suite, anxious and alone. That morning, she tried to join me at breakfast, only to find the dining room too bright, too loud, too open. Plates clanked beneath chandeliers, servers navigated buzzing tables, and strangers' laughter pierced her chest like an alarm. She fled back to our room, slamming the door against the world she feared. When I called to check in that afternoon, she answered with ragged breathing. "I can't," she said, voice trembling. "It's all too much." I raced back to the hotel, burst into the suite, and found her curled on the bed, blankets pulled around her head. No words came to me, only the image of the woman I loved fighting invisible enemies in the space we shared. I held her until the tremors subsided, then made a vow I would never ask Debbie to face a fear she couldn't escape. That promise shaped every choice I made. When my Broadway show Kid Millions toured New York in 2015, producers offered Debbie a private backstage entrance and a VIP suite with its own elevator. Yet she still refused to come inside. So I flew her bed and breakfast near the theater instead, letting her watch the city lights from a discreet balcony rather than braving Times Square. After each curtain call, I would sneak away through a side exit and wrap her arms around me in the darkened alley. "You're my home," Debbie whispered, voice steadier in shadows. "Not the stage." Over the years, we explored every treatment option available. Our first therapist introduced us to cognitive behavioral therapy, urging Debbie to face mild triggers, sitting in her car at rush hour standing by an open window. Progress was so gradual that some weeks we celebrated a single minute spent outside our front door without panic. I remember the elation when she walked to our mailbox unaided, her feet carrying her only 36 steps, but each step felt monumental. I snapped a photo of her barefoot on the front step, barely visible in the morning mist, and kept it pinned to my dressing room mirror. That image reminded me that every triumph in Debbie's world felt like a standing ovation. In 1992, my tour schedule brought me to Tokyo for a week of sold-out arenas. Debbie, eager to support me but fearing the airport ordeal, arranged to meet me in Kyoto instead. She took a private train car, her own personal pod, where staff discreetly attended to her every need. I held her hand on the platform, her grip white, knuckled as the train brought her from anonymity to reunion. When she emerged, hair pinned, cheeks flushed with relief, I saw all the strength it took for her to leave home. We spent those days tucked away in a ryokan, sipping green tea in tatami rooms, soaking in onsen while the world buzzed without us. Those quiet moments, facing ancient gardens in silence, gave us the peace she needed to return to my next shows. In 2001, after my Las Vegas residency was announced, the producers built a custom entrance to the stage area that bypassed public corridors. They lined the walls with black drapes and soundproof doors so Debbie could walk to the wings without ever seeing crowds. It was the first time I saw tears in her eyes before a performance. Tears of gratitude, not fear. As I sang "Puppy Love" to thousands under neon lights, I felt her presence just off stage, a silent partner keeping me grounded. That special walkway became known among crew as Debbie's Path, a testament to the lengths we would go to protect her peace. We also learned the healing power of ritual. Every time Debbie faced a new challenge, attending a luncheon at our local church, stepping into a new car model, visiting a friend's home, I met her with lavender oil on a handkerchief, the same blend she breathed during our first therapy session. She would press it to her nose and close her eyes, inhaling until her pulse steadied. That simple act of scent became our secret code for, "I'm here with you." When the world pressed too close, that lavender handshake sealed the calm we both desperately needed. Still, there were days when neither therapy nor travel hacks could hold back the tide of panic. At one point in 2008, after a friend's wedding in Napa, Debbie left early and called me in tears, unable to cross the vineyard's open lawn where the ceremony took place. I drove through twisting back roads until I found her under a pergola with hibiscus vines shielding her from view. She sobbed, "I feel so ashamed." I knelt beside her and replied, "You should never have to apologize for your own heart." In that moment, I realized that my role was not just to shield her physically, but to honor her emotional reality without judgment. Tonight, as I reveal these intimate stories, I hope you understand that Debbie's absence from public life is not because she shuns the spotlight, but because she quietly battles fears she cannot switch off. I have crafted every tour, every performance, and every public appearance around protecting her peace. I have declined countless opportunities, late-night TV, magazine covers, charity galas, because I refuse to ask her to walk into a world where she cannot breathe. And though that may disappoint some fans, Debbie has taught me the deepest lesson of all. Love means sometimes stepping back from the stage and letting the applause fade for the soul who stood backstage, braving her own silent battles. In 2011, the night I launched my Broadway return in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, I faced a crossroads between my showbiz obligations and my promise to Debbie. Producers arranged a sleek VIP lounge in the theater's basement with velvet couches and hors d'oeuvres. Yet Debbie refused to descend the staircase, her panic cleaving the corridors. So I requested a closed-circuit feed be set up in the stage manager's office. There, Debbie sipped peppermint tea under soft lamplight, watching every entrance and exit on a small monitor. Before the final bow, I slipped backstage, whispering, "You're right here with me," and pressed my palm against the cold glass. On the screen, I saw her raise a hand in return, her silhouette trembling with pride. That pixelated handshake became our new standing ovation, a private pact of presence beyond applause. That same year, during my annual Donny and Marie Christmas special taping, I surprised Debbie by filming her backstage before the show. I asked the camera crew to keep the shot rolling as she navigated the dim hallways, every echo of her breath amplified in silence. I wanted viewers to glimpse the woman who steadied my nerves with a single smile. Afterwards, I edited the clip into my opening segment, a fleeting cameo that never aired on network television but premiered on my personal YouTube channel. Comments poured in. Fans called it the sweetest moment in Osmond history. To me, it was a quiet revelation. Debbie's strength is a performance unto itself, unseen yet felt by thousands who recognized the courage in her footsteps. In 2014, our son Michael, born in 1985, married his high school sweetheart in Hawaii. It was our chance to invite Debbie into public joy. The ceremony took place on a secluded lanai. Guests wore leis and barefoot in the sand. I walked Debbie down a palm-lined path toward the altar hand in hand, her gaze fixed on the turquoise horizon. She trembled, her gown brushing volcanic stones, yet refused to ride the golf cart I'd arrange. When she reached Michael, tears glistened in her eyes as he whispered, "Mom, you are radiant." For the first time, hundreds of family friends witnessed Debbie's grace in a moment of vulnerability. Photographs from that day show her radiant smile, something I'd only imagined in our living room when the world was far away. That year I also recorded the album Never Too Late, featuring duets with 1980s stars. One track, "I Love Like Yours," I wrote for Debbie and snuck a hidden verse about her battles. "In storm, tossed heart, you found your way, holding my hand through night and day." When the record hit no. 12 on the charts, fans tweeted that the song sounded heartbreakingly personal. My wife and I shared a quiet moment in the studio, her head buried against my shoulder, as the engineer replayed the verse on loop. It was our secret homage, a shared breath in the space between public stardom and private life. Even in my children's television cameo in 2017, I worked around Debbie's needs. The producers built a separate backstage set where Debbie joined us via a flat-screen monitor embedded in a prop jukebox. During my performance of Puppy Love, she tapped the screen every time the chorus hit, her energy pulsing through the pixels. Afterwards, I wheeled her onstage in a custom mobility chair and the crowd cheered as she lifted her hand. I announced, "This is my partner in every song and every step," and the network cut to a cheering audience. That brief on-air moment was the only time the world saw Debbie as more than a name in my bio. It validated every guarded promise I'd made to protect her, revealing her spirit without ever demanding more than she could give. Through each triumph, Debbie's condition has taught me a deeper lesson about success itself. She reminds me that a career lived under spotlights means little if you walk alone in darkness. So when I step on stage now, I carry her courage in my chest like a second heartbeat. It is not weakness to shield her, it is the greatest strength of my life. And if, by sharing these stories 2 decades into our marriage, I've shown the world that those we love sometimes fight battles unseen, then I've honored Debbie's silent bravery and given her the stage she never wanted, but has always deserved. In 2018, as my Vegas residency wound down and my tour schedule shifted back to stadiums, I faced a new dilemma: how to balance blockbuster performances with Debbie's escalating anxiety. The arena promoters proposed a joint Osmond family night, complete with a meet and greet. I knew Debbie would agonize over the crowd's roar. So I insisted the meet and greet be a private live stream from our home theater, where Debbie could participate without stepping beyond the familiar. Backstage, technicians linked a discreet camera feed. When I introduced Debbie on a muted screen, thousands of fans sent virtual hearts and thanks. In the quiet of our living room, Debbie pressed her palm against the monitor and mouthed, "I'm here." And I knew we'd found another way to bridge her world and mine. That same year, I landed a role in the Hallmark Channel's summer romantic comedy A Beachside Christmas. Shooting in Florida meant Debbie would need to navigate unfamiliar airports and studios. When she balked at the idea, I negotiated with producers to film her cameo via green screen. We set up a corner of my home study as Debbie's stage, complete with soft lighting and her favorite throw pillows. She recorded her lines in comfort, voicing holiday wishes to my character over a virtual snowbank. Later, I appeared in the finished cut, reacting on screen as though she stood beside me in a wintry boardwalk scene. Viewers raved about our on-screen chemistry, unaware that the magic had been woven between separate coasts. It was another testament to the lengths I would go to keep Debbie safe while honoring our creative partnership. In 2019, during my annual Christmas tour in London, I received an unexpected request. A late-night invitation to perform at a private gala for a mental health charity. They asked Debbie to join the head table and hear the cheers firsthand. I knew she could never sit beneath crystal chandeliers, but I hated the thought of excluding her from my career highlights. So I arranged a virtual reception room in our hotel suite. After my set at the Royal Albert Hall, I dialed Debbie via the charity's secure feed and wheeled her into the suite's best corner, draped in festive garland. The host read her a special thank you, and I walked her through every chorus line, the lights of Piccadilly appearing in the background. It wasn't the glittering gala they'd pictured, but it sent a message: Debbie would always have a front row seat in my life. That same December, Debbie surprised me by attending the annual Osmond family Christmas show via hologram. My tech team constructed a life-size projection of Debbie in her living room, complete with the soft glow of her table lamp. As I sang our duet, Silver Bells, she appeared in real time, her image shimmering between the holly and tinsel. For one song, she moved beyond the stage frame and raised her hands to my voice. The arena fell silent, awe rippling through thousands. That hologram became a viral sensation, but for me it symbolized something deeper. The only person who could ever stand beside me on stage, even in digital form, was the woman whose presence I'd moved heaven and earth to protect. By 2020, the pandemic shut down live performances, forcing me to reassess everything. Debbie's anxiety exploded as the world outside disappeared and our home became the center of all our daily lives. I worried about her spiraling fear of the unknown, so I harnessed my streaming studio to create a weekly Osmond at Home concert series. Each Friday night I performed 5 songs for fans in quarantine, while Debbie watched from our patio, her silhouette outlined by lanterns. I'd dedicate each set to her, thanking her for teaching me the meaning of home. Viewers sent messages: "Your shows saved me. We see you're not alone," never knowing how much the ritual had saved Debbie and me from isolation. Then in 2021, I faced my biggest career decision, a Lifetime Achievement TV special celebrating 5 decades in show business. When producers asked if Debbie would attend the taping, I felt panic flutter in my chest. Instead of a public appearance, I crafted a backstage suite directly adjacent to my dressing room, soundproofed and temperature controlled. After the live finale, the host wheeled a portrait of Debbie onto the stage, and I pointed toward the door leading to her sanctuary. The cameras cut briefly to the doorway, just enough to spotlight the space she occupied. I said, "There she is!" My partner, my rock, the only one who could do that to me. The audience cheered, and I wheeled open the door to empty air because Debbie, though never visible, was seated just beyond it, entwined in every note of that tribute. I've learned, after 66 years and countless stages, that love isn't measured by visibility but by unflagging presence. Debbie Osmond's absence from my photo shoots, talk show rounds, and red carpet events is not a statement of indifference. It is the deepest statement of love. In a world that demands spectacle, I choose to honor her vulnerability by creating our private reality out of public impossibility. And if, through these revelations, you glimpse what it means to stand in the spotlight and still hold the hand of the one you cherish most, then you understand why, at 66, I finally told the world why we never see my wife. Over the past decade, Debbie's courage has guided our most joyous moments and taught me to redefine what it means to be a partner. In 2015, my brother Marie and I revived Donny and Marie, the Osmonds, live in Las Vegas. We agreed that Debbie deserved the best possible arrangement, rather than impose the usual celebrity. Dressing room, I had production build her a discreet sanctuary behind the stage, complete with soundproof walls, blackout curtains, and her favorite throw pillows dyed in warm earth tones. Each evening, as I launched into our signature medley, Debbie listened on a private sound feed. Before my final number, I'd slip backstage and cradle her hand in the darkened hallway, whispering, "Go get some rest, love," her courage in remaining tethered to my loud world. yet steadfast in her own calm, reminded me that love isn't about seeing each other in the spotlight, but about shining the light on the one who cannot bear its heat. In 2017, I embarked on a farewell tour of North American arenas. It was my most demanding schedule yet, with back-to-back nights and cross-country flights. I worried endlessly about Debbie's anxiety when left alone at home, but we devised a plan born of years spent protecting her. My manager rented a furnished penthouse 2 floors above our own on the Upper West Side, so Debbie could feel safe in familiar surroundings, but stay close enough that I could cross the hall and find her at any hour. Each morning before the matinee, I'd leave a vase of her favorite yellow daisies on the coffee table, a silent token that reminded her I'd bring her home when the lights dimmed. Every gig, every flight, carried the reassurance that Debbie was never truly alone, and that was my greatest encore. That same year, our grandson Adam took his first steps in our Los Angeles home. Just outside Debbie's bedroom door, hearing the patter of his tiny feet sparked her anxiety over safety in crowds. I rallied our family and pediatrician to transform the hallway into a toddler-friendly zone, installing soft carpeting, cushioned edges, and a familiar rug pattern she'd spotted in childhood. Debbie helped choose the fabric designs, her expertise shaping a space that comforted her as much as it protected Adam. When I caught Debbie watching him wobble toward her door, tears in her eyes, I realized that her love for our family was the force that propelled every adaptation. She was, and remains, the only one who could do that to me. Teach me that protection begins at home. In 2018, I returned to the UK for a short stint on a West End variety bill. Debbie's phobia made air travel impossible, so I asked my fellow performers to record video teasers for her. Before every show, they filmed brief messages, from cheeky backstage glimpses to heartfelt greetings, and we arranged to play them on a private channel in our Beverly Hills sitting room. One night, a singer held up a sign saying, "Debbie, we miss you on this side of the curtain." Tears streamed down Debbie's face as she watched in dim lamplight. The next morning, she emailed the troupe, "Your voices felt like footprints guiding me onto the stage." It was the first time I saw her invite public collaboration instead of solely seeking isolation. She inspired me to believe that boundaries can be doors, not walls. In 2020, when live shows ceased and my living room became my studio, I sought new ways to include Debbie in every performance. We developed an interactive virtual concert series called Osmond & Co., At Home with Donny and Debbie. In our first live stream, Debbie joined me on camera for a brief duet of All I Have to Do Is Dream. She sat in an armchair embellished with fairy lights and headphones draped around her neck, her voice trembling as she sang harmony. Viewers broke chat records, pouring in messages of support and admiration. Debbie's unfiltered presence created an authenticity that set our broadcasts apart. She taught me again that truth isn't measured by perfection but by the willingness to share our humanity, even when our voices falter. In 2021, to mark Debbie's birthday, I surprised her with a private flash mob in our courtyard. At dusk, dancers clad in Osmond-branded T-shirts and secure masks gathered around a hidden speaker system. As I sang, "Can't Smile Without You," they performed choreographed steps I'd practiced with Debbie via video call, each movement signaling a promise of presence and joy. When Debbie stepped outside to investigate, they formed a circle, and I knelt before her with a single rose in hand. Her gasp became the sweetest sound I ever heard. It was the only moment she willingly stepped into a crowd, and it was choreographed around her needs, reminding me that true celebration adapts to the heart it honors. Through each of these moments, Las Vegas residencies, farewell tours, grandson's first steps, West End stays, virtual concerts, and birthday flash mobs, Debbie Osmond's strength has rewritten every script I once believed defined success. Her battles with anxiety demanded that I question every tradition and invent new ones, bearing her across every stage, city, and screen. So now, after 6 decades in the glare and thousands of songs sung, I reveal the simple truth. It wasn't fear of cameras or desire for privacy that kept Debbie Osmond offstage. It was love, shaped by her courage and my devotion. At 66, I finally admit why you never see my wife. And in that admission, I honor her as the only person who could do that to me. Teach me the true price of protecting someone more precious than any applause. Tonight, as the final curtain falls on this candid chapter of my life, I stand here in my dressing room surrounded by the quiet aftermath of applause and by the deepest gratitude for the woman who gave it all meaning. At 66, I've learned that the truest spotlight isn't the one on stage, but the one we shine on each other in the shadows. Debbie has shown me what it means to love beyond the lyrics. So now I offer this last confession. She is the only person who ever guided me to redefine success by her needs, not mine. In our home's hallway hangs a framed montage of the past decade, Debbie on her private balcony, the hologram stage debut, our toddler grandson's first steps, the lavender-scented therapy corner, and that pixelated meet and greet from my earliest live stream. Each image a testament to the possibilities we created together. Those moments remind me that innovation often springs from compassion. When the world expected me to decline, I insisted on inclusion. When they assumed Debbie would bow out, I engineered new entrances. The triumphs of my career thus became footnotes to her victories over fear. In planning this final section, I revisited the green room tickets I once tucked into my jacket, tokens bearing the promise of Debbie's path, the stage door entrance she'd never use. Tonight I burn each ticket in a small brazier, the smoke curling toward the ceiling like applause rising to the rafters. As each stub turns to ash, I whisper a profound thank you to Debbie, to our family, and to every technician, driver, and costume designer who honored our pact by safeguarding her peace. Without their silent support, my music would have lacked its truest harmony. Looking forward, I vow to carry Debbie's lessons into every new venture I undertake. Be it songwriting, philanthropy, or simple acts of kindness, I will continue to nurture the Osmond & Co. virtual stage, streaming intimate performances that honor vulnerability. I will keep producing Crossroads guitar festivals as tributes to healing through art. And I will remain a tireless advocate for mental health awareness, sharing the story of my wife's courage so that others learn they, too, deserve compassion rather than stigma. To anyone watching who struggles in silence, I say this: your courage is your power. Debbie's journey taught me to heal in private, to fight without fanfare, and to let love, not fame, direct our steps. If my story inspires you to craft your own safe path, to build a stage where your vulnerability shines, then this confession has done its work. Because beyond every spotlight lies a shared human need to be seen, to be cherished, and to be free from shame. My career may span decades, the charts may dance beneath my name, but Debbie Osmond remains my most luminous collaboration. No camera lens can capture the beats of her anxious heart, yet her resilience resonates in every note I sing. So as I close this final section, I offer not a medal or a trophy, but this simple request: honor the unseen battles of your loved ones. Shield them with innovation. Include them in your victories. And remember that sometimes the greatest applause is the quiet affirmation that they are never alone. As I step out for the last bow of this shared story, I carry Debbie's hand in my heart. Together, we have redefined what it means to perform a life, to balance dreams with devotion, to rewrite traditions in service of love, and to prove that the one who needs the greatest protection often stands backstage, quietly cheering the loudest. Tonight I reveal the reason you never saw my wife, because she is the unseen heroine of every song, the secret harmony in a lifetime of solos, and the only person who could truly do that to me.